listen, if I want more, I gotta be more. I gotta change how I'm thinking, next play mentality. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I was 25, 26 years old.
But you had been conditioned from sports to be resilient,
I had been
right?
programmed through sports my whole life. We've been born to succeed, but we've been programmed to fail. Son, you're gonna make 1,000 mistakes. Hurry up and make them.
Fail faster.
Fail faster. In order to be successful, you gotta fail. I think it's not seeing yourself as you are, but it's seeing yourself as what you can and should be. Motivation is temporary, discipline is permanent. So there are a lot of little valuable
Fail your
lessons.
way to success.
Fail your way up, but no matter where you're at, if you think you're done growing, then I feel bad for you.
Yeah. All right, welcome back to the Daily Mastermind. George Wright III with your daily dose of inspiration, motivation, and education. And we're joined in the studio today with a good friend and somebody you are gonna love, Ricky Frank. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is good. It's been a coordination for us to put this together, but it's gonna be well worth it. You know, you've got a company and you've been doing this for like 37 years. We're gonna jump right into it. When you talk about unlocking the ultimate edge for people, this is a topic that I think resonates really much in the business arena and with our podcast and our listeners, because we're always talking about unleashing your potential and creating your best life. And you've literally been living and breathing and doing that for like 37 years. In fact, you had a company that grew to #1 on the Inc. 500 list.
Correct.
Everybody talks about 10X and things like that. You went 36,000, that's with 3 zeros,
Yes, sir.
36,000%.
Yep.
So do me a favor, and I'm gonna let you just tell our listeners a little bit about yourself. What kind of led you up to this? Because I mean, that could make for many, many podcast episodes, but just give us kind of a little bit of your backdrop so they understand where you came from.
Sure. I never would have expected I'd be in this arena for sure. I think sometimes your career finds you.
Yeah.
In a million years, I never would have thought this, but I was trying to pursue an NFL career. And really, if you know, the NFL stands for not for long for most of us.
Yeah.
For some people who had longer careers, for me, it was an NFL not for long, but I had just been cut by the Dallas Cowboys. And I found myself in my Volkswagen driving back to New Jersey, where I'm from, going, what do I do now? Like a lot of people, right, who come out of sports.
Yeah.
And I'm living in Grandpa's basement. He said, I didn't have a whole lot of money. And my uncle worked for Southwestern Bell and was the GM for a beeper company. So the beepers were the big technology back in the day.
Okay.
So he got me a job as an account executive, which is just a salesman. And I got a bag of beepers, and I just traveled around the tri-state area. Sometimes it was 2-3 hours to an appointment. Just think, I'm only going about 10 miles,
Yeah.
but it would take you 2-3 hours.
Oh yeah, for
And
sure.
I had a clutch in the day, and I'm just like going, oh my gosh. I mean, for me, it was hard because I'm like, I was just trying to be an NFL player.
Right.
And now I'm a beeper salesman in a parking lot selling to who knows who. And then I was in a high rise in New York City selling to some Fortune 500 company. And I had some friends that said, you got to come see this guy. He's just this personal growth and development. Like, I grew up in New Jersey. Archie Bunker. My grandpa was Archie Bunker. That you don't need that stuff. Get a job, get good grades, go get it, that was the plan, right? The 40-40 plan, 40 hours a week for 40 years. That was, planted in my brain. And I was very resistant to it. And I finally, after a month and my friends bugged me, I went down and I saw this guy begin to speak. And I'm still, New Jersey's the show me state, by the way.
And this is after a major setback. You get cut by the Cowboys, and now you're like, all right, I'm just here trying to figure this out.
Here I am trying to be an elite athlete.
Got it.
I had trained and, all the weightlifting and speed training, all that stuff. So the letdowns, it's real.
Mm.
So you're going from here to here going, okay, I got to survive. What do I do? So I wasn't the happiest of people in that regard, but I had a job.
But you were open enough that you went to this event to kind of hear what this guy's saying, right?
Exactly. But it took a month for them to convince me to go.
All right.
I'll never forget. It was the Holiday Inn, Bridgewater, New Jersey. It's like your first kiss. You don't forget your first meeting.
Yeah.
So I went, and again, arms crossed, typical New Jersey, New York attitude. Like, here I am, broke. I'm making like $800 or $900 a month selling beepers.
Yeah.
And here I am with the successful dude in front of the room. He was dressed Perry Ellis and nice stuff, and I could tell, but I'm still, And he said one thing to me. He says, Ricky, if you keep thinking like you're thinking and doing what you're doing, where are you going to be in a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years? And I was like, I looked at my grandpa, who was living on Social Security, which was nothing then. This is 1987, 1988. I looked at my dad and the track he was on, and I went, he's making some good points here. So long story short, from there on, I began to listen to him. And when it was done, I followed him into the bathroom like a moron, and I said, I got to talk. He goes, can I finish my business?
Yeah, right.
We'll talk outside.
Yeah.
But it hit me. There's a saying, when the student's ready, the teacher will appear.
Yeah.
The teacher appeared for me out of left field.
And this was like the start of your personal development growth journey too, right?
Total. Now, I had read some books earlier. My first book I had read, As a Man Thinketh. by James Allen.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Phenomenal book.
Yep.
Act as a Blossom of Thaw, Useless Weed Seeds. I had read that. So there was something fermenting, but I didn't know how to express it or what to do with it. So this guy was up there talking and living it. And I went, I got to be around him. So he said, listen, when I'm done, we'll meet in the restaurant and we'll figure out a game plan. And that's a whole other story of having that meeting with him and how it worked out working together. But that is what opened my mind to listen. If I want more, I got to be more. I got to change the, how I'm thinking.
Yeah.
And even though my design on my plan was this career.
Well, but it was peak performance, athletic performance, ultimate potential there.
Exactly.
And now you're pivoting into this whole world of personal development, ultimate performance, correct?
Right. And finding someone who could teach. That's something I realized.
Yeah.
Good thing about being an athlete, we're coachable and teachable.
Yeah.
We're like trained seals sometimes. They'll throw you a fish, go and perform because a coach, you want the pat on the back and the attaboy. You don't want to be screamed at.
Yeah.
So it was perfect to come into a guy like that going, okay, I'm ready to perform, coach, put me in.
Yeah.
What do I got to do? Where's the playbook?
Yeah.
So a lot of similar from an athletic standpoint.
Well, it's good that you make it sound like you're a very teachable, learnable person. And just for those listening, obviously you've gone on to speak around the world in front of, big audiences, some of the biggest names, and become a peak performance, coach and trainer and platform speaker and individual that's been very, very successful in those arenas.
Yep. And because I was willing to be coachable and teachable. One thing my mentor did in the beginning, we go to trainings, he goes, I want you to write down 10 things you want to learn today.
Yeah.
And every time, and every single time on my yellow line notepad, I would write how to stay coachable and teachable. How to stay coachable and teachable.
Yeah.
I wanted to stay in that frame of mind to be coachable and teachable, to ever learn, to get better and get better. It's like reps on the football field that we had. How do I run faster? Yeah. How do I catch better? How do I block better? How do I do stuff better?
Well, but you also, you're an individual that you're still growing today. And I think a lot of people get tapped out and they start to realize they start getting an ego, especially if you're having a lot of success and you don't actually continue to be teachable, which you were. But I want to back up for a second because you've got a great personality, you got a lot of energy. A lot of people thinking, the guy was an NFL player. But you had a pretty big setback.
Yeah.
You had a huge setback, and obviously one of the most important principles in business is resilience.
Yep.
And I know you train and teach on that. So I'm curious, were you just so open to opportunity, or was there a reason that you decided you wanted to kind of step back and do things? What was it that helped you to be resilient and kind of go into this new career path that now for 37 years you've been dominating?
That's a good point. In sports, failure's fertilizer. You're failing a lot. You might lose that last rep, but then you got to forget it, right? We always call it next play.
Yeah.
Next play. I got to go, hey, he just beat me, or I just beat him, but that play's over and gone. Next play. So sports just train you. And I played all the sports. So that's what it was, next play mentality. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I was 25, 26 years old.
But you had been conditioned from sports to be resilient,
I had
right?
been programmed through sports my whole life, and then at the college level, and then trying to play in the professional level.
So you had that background, but like as you were talking to people throughout, so we have a lot of entrepreneurs, CEOs, founders, high achievers in our and in business. I mean, look, you're talking setbacks every day of the week kind of thing.
Day. Yep.
How do you work with people like that don't have that training background? Because I want to get into some of these other things, but you had that. How do people that you're working with in business build that same thing? Is it the same? Is it just conditioning and practice and things like that?
So in one of my taglines with my company, Forward Fast, Accelerate Your Success, it's build a mindset and a skill set for life. And I ask people, what's more important, your mindset, your skill set? And you'll have 50-50 of what it is.
Yeah.
But it is mindset. And you can train your mindset. One of the things I say at a lot of my trainings, it says, we've been born to succeed, but we've been programmed to fail.
Yes.
I'm telling you, by the age 5, most people have heard no more than they've heard yes.
Yeah.
They've been doubted more than they've been, promoted to do something. So you can rewire. That's I spend a lot of time rewiring people's, framework in their brain.
And the programming they've had
And the
up to that
programming
point,
they
right?
have, which a lot of it is stinking, as Norman Vincent Peale says, one of my mentors, stinking thinking.
Yes.
So how do you rewire? How do you reframe that sort of information for people who are used to, I failed, okay, it's done. It's like, I met a guy one time. Can I share this story really quick?
Yeah, do it.
This is a really good story. This is one of the most principles. So I served a mission for my church.
Okay.
This is 1981. I am knocking doors in the middle of Kansas. Freezing cold day. I just wanted to get into a warm door. We failed at every door that we went to. We're knocking, and it slammed the door, knocking, slammed the door, nobody answered. And all the houses in Kansas were like a half a mile apart. I'm freezing. I didn't have a winter jacket. I had one of those little FBI kind of London fog jackets. My companion, he was all dressed up, nice and warm, puddled. I'm cold. Anyways, we knock on one door. This guy, the profound, this is one of the things you got me to think about. He opens the door and he looks like the guy from Tool Time with the beard.
Yeah.
Flannel shirt.
Yeah.
He goes, come on in. And I was just like, oh, I'm out of the cold. Oh my gosh, this is great. Well, I didn't care about the message. I was supposed to be there. I just was freezing cold on this cold November, December day, whatever it is. Anyway, I walk in, and this is going to sound weird, but I'm an artist, okay? My whole family is an artist. Hallmark Cars wanted me to come, and it's a family gift. So I walk in, and all of a sudden, I see all this artwork that he has on all of his walls of his living room. Now, this is we're in Kansas. This wasn't some expensive house.
Yeah.
And then he had little curio cabinets with sculptures, and I'm just looking around. I'm going from picture to picture to picture to picture, and I go, and I remember, this is the profound for me, 1981. I said, how did you get so good? And this guy looks at me and goes, son, you're going to make 1,000 mistakes. Hurry up and make them.
Fail faster.
Fail faster.
And
I realized, you know what?
This is a lesson you're learning in the middle of nowhere for nothing, right?
Yeah, and I realized that's the one thing I'm not afraid of and I teach my football players that I coached in high school. I don't mind throwing 1,000 balls right now. I know in those 1,000 balls, I'm going to get better and better and better, or particular plays that we run. And it's the same thing in business of a mindset. If you're doing a pitch to someone, how to overcome the nervousness, the obstacle, when they give you an objection, what do you say, what do you do, how do you look, how do you feel, what's your energy, all those kind of things.
It's interesting because your ability to do that, I mean, at the end of the day, we all want to win. The goal is to win a lot of times, and how you frame that is important. But how you view failure is really a huge principle in business, in life, personal business, family, whatever it is. How you view failure and how you deal with failure, and not just from a resilience level, but how you view it. And you just said, view failure as the gateway to success. You got to get through it as much as you can.
Yep, you got to stack them on top of each other. They are, in order to be successful, you got to fail.
Yeah.
And I just early on realized, I think from sports, that you're going to fail and you got to bounce back. You can't go pout, and you're kind of semi-attention seeking, and you have this thing of, I want to go compete.
Yeah.
And some people don't have that killer edge or that ultimate edge. And I'm trying to get people, it's okay to turn that on.
Yeah.
You got to be hungry.
How do you define ultimate edge? Because that's obviously a core framework of what you teach.
Sure.
When you say ultimate edge, people might be thinking like, the ultimate life. How do you define it?
I think it's not seeing yourself as you are, but it's seeing yourself as what you can and should be, and helping people to get to where they should be. A lot of people, again, in their mind, I tell people this. I do in one of my trainings. In their mind, I say, pretend you're playing a video. What video or what movie's going on in your brain?
Yeah.
Is it Friday the 13th, or is it Rocky climbing up the steps and doing this? And a lot of people have the wrong video playing.
Yeah.
And what the perception that they're giving people is not Rocky, I'm a champion. It's this self-defeated, I'm not powerful enough. And that sounds kind of corny and minor, but you've got to reprogram and rewire people's mindsets so that they can start seeing themselves as they can be and should be, and not what mom, dad, teacher, or even, I've had some bad coaches.
Or their life,
I had one college coach that made me feel this small. And he helped me. In the end of how I teach and what I do today, is I said, I never want to make another human being feel like this college coach made me feel. And it helped me in not only coaching the thousands of people that I have over the years, but also the football players that I coach, and how I try to keep people. I don't want people to feel like that.
What's interesting is I found over time is the more I can get focused on and that clear picture of who I want to be, or who I'm going to be, or who you're growing to be, or who you're trying to attain, right?
Yep.
And operate right now from that framework.
Yep.
That's where you don't accept the excuses. You operate, because right now, people are dealing and building their business and operating in life with their own current beliefs. And where you are is where you've gotten to because of what you can do. But where you're going to be in the future is going to be at a higher level. And if you operate in that particular arena, you're going to perform more. So tell me about what do you do with people when you take them through your framework with ultimate, basically getting to that state? You got to meet them where they're at.
Yep.
You're dealing with a lot of people that are, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I've met some 8, 9-figure people that have the same issues that 5, 6, 7-figure people.
Sure.
And it's not a money factor. So where do you
Mm-hmm.
start with somebody? What do you do with them? And what's your framework you kind of work with?
I have my first thing is I have a wealth wheel.
Okay.
It looks just like a wheel.
Okay.
And in it has emotional, spiritual, mental, physical, financial, social.
So
And
full life picture.
So it's a natural wheel. And then on it is just a graph from 0 to 10.
Okay.
And I say, graph this out. So think of a graph paper, the little lines on a graph. So where's your financial life? Okay, you're a 9. But where's your emotional life? A 3. Where's your mental life? Oh, I'm a 4. Where's your social life? I'm a 1. And then I have them draw it out, and guess what it looks like? Most people's lives look like a star.
Yeah.
So you're right. Some people might have great financial parts of their lives,
Yeah.
but everything else, their family, social, emotional, is so down and dead. And it helps them realize going, okay, I really am there. So it's
And
not
all those areas affect the other areas as well, right?
100%. So the
I
goal
like how you said wealth wheel, by the way, because your wealth is all those areas. It's not just your income,
exactly. Your rich is
Yeah.
all of those things.
right?
And
Yeah.
and getting now, sometimes you got to get out of balance to get in balance when you're pursuing some different
True,
things.
true.
But I see a lot of people, like you said, high figure earners who are out of balance. It's all about money, money,
Yeah.
money. But they're so unhappy and unbalanced in this areas that they're not gonna be able to achieve what they want to achieve. And there's other people who are happier this way, but they don't have any financial goals. And then the next part of what I do is I jump right into people's goals. Chapter 4 of Think or Grow Rich was the big life changer for me.
Right. Okay.
When I got involved with what I did 37 years ago. I had started reading it, and I went from making $800-900 a month to about 14 grand a month.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
amazing, but
Big
it wasn't
jump, big
wasn't
jump.
me. And people say, that's great. I go, no, I listened to what someone else said, and guess what? I did what, like my coach, I did what I was told to do. Now, did I do it really well? Probably not. I did 2,200 meetings my first year, 2,200.
Wow.
They probably were all terrible, but a guy gave me a
You failed
framework,
faster though too.
these 7 steps, and I followed these 7 steps, and I did it over and over and over again. So a month into it, I finally get to chapter 4, is auto-suggestion.
Oh yeah, perfect.
It's the blueprint for it all. People go, oh, I don't like Think or Grow Rich. I'm like, how do you not like Think or Grow Rich?
Yeah.
Chapter 4 talks
One of
about
the most sold books of all time outside the Bible. I mean, hello.
exactly. But
Yeah.
chapter 4, literally. So when I get people through the wealth wheel, okay, where are you at? They're like,
Okay.
yeah. It helps them to go, yeah, I'm out of balance. I need some help. Yet they recognize it. So now we go through some goal setting here, and I say chapter 4 says write down what you want specifically.
Yeah.
Hey, you want to drink? Yeah. Well, what do you want to drink? Your brain's a supercomputer. You got to tell your brain an X and O, or, a 1 and a 0, whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So you got to write down what you want, what you're going to do in order to get it, the time frame you're going to do it,
Right.
and then go adjust. I'm kind of paraphrasing, and then you're going to read it twice a day, especially.
Right.
And when you're supposed to read it, in the morning and at night, because your conscious mind is sleepy, which is all the programming and all the garbage that blocks out all the good stuff. Because what runs us at the end of the day are supercomputers run by the subconscious mind.
Yeah.
So however we've been programmed from little kids on up, we got to try to break that. So I followed chapter 4, auto-suggestion to a T.
Yeah.
And I wrote these things down. I put a car on the mirror, but I had these little cards. And as soon as I got up, I was tired, and I read them. And you know what? And after a couple weeks, my second month of doing the business that I'd gotten involved in, my goal was to make $60,000. Now think about it. I was living in Grandpa's basement making $800 a month.
Yeah. That
I
was
just made
way stretch.
way stretch, and I made 14. Now here I am. Who am I to think, okay, I'm going to make 60? But I'm reading Think or Grow Rich. Anything's possible. Faith, belief. If you
Yeah.
put faith and work together, all those sorts of stuff. And I read these cards, and I'm thinking I'm making 60 grand. Now think about the people that were coming in to my office. I had all these ads going in the New York area. Attitude up the wazoo. People dressed in suits, but sales. My ads were sales professionals wanted, and I had people coming in there, and I'm doing a presentation going,
But there's a lot of people I know that are very well familiar with that step, and yet they don't continue to do it. So what creates the difference maker for somebody that's consistent and somebody that continues to do it? Because that's the key difference, right?
Yeah.
Continuing to maintain consistency.
And the word is discipline. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. I don't feel like working out today, but I got to work out today.
Yeah.
Motivation is just that little instant gratification thing.
Yeah.
Discipline is the thing that you gotta get into, and you gotta understand and have a regiment to. And with those cards, there was a regiment. I read them in the morning and I read them at night. But here's what it does: it transforms your mind. After 2 or 3 weeks of reading, I go, I'm going to make 60 grand this month. Now think about it.
So that's an important point I want to point out for our listeners. The activity is what transforms your mind. Then your mind itself is also operating at a different level. So sometimes it's not necessarily the step you're doing as much as the practice, the discipline, and the training that you're doing for your mind, right? Which is your best weapon.
And
right
you're
there.
inputting correct information now.
Got it.
Your mind will believe it.
Yeah.
And I believed it. So after a couple of weeks, when people would come in and give me grief, I mean, think about it. I was a beeper salesman. Even though I was a big, tall football player, I was scared to death of these guys coming in the meetings what's this about? Is this a scam? Is this that? But all of a sudden I'm like, oh, wait a minute. In my brain, I didn't say this out loud, but I went, wait a minute, I'm making 60 grand this month. You just circled the help wanted ad. What are you doing in my meeting? And it gave me this, I didn't come across cocky, but this belief system, the rewiring that we talk about. And that helped me. And, the end of the story is we got paid once a month at that time. What do you think I expected to see in my commission check that month?
Oh, you expected to see 60.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I failed. I only saw 40.
Yeah.
You know what my first response was, why didn't I say 100? Maybe
Yeah.
I would have made the 60. So there are a lot of little valuable
Fail your
lessons.
way to success.
Fail your way
right?
up.
Yeah, up.
Fail your
Yeah.
way up.
Yeah.
So that lesson taught me a lot about how to reprogram, rewire the mind. I realized that my mind had been programmed, not always on purpose by parents and teachers, but it was a system. Go to school, get good grades, get a job, do that for the rest of your life. That was the mentality for the age group that I grew up in, kind of a thing.
So what about, I'm curious about, so we talk about daily rituals as a really important factor on the Daily Mastermind quite a bit. What daily rituals do you use right now, and how do you incorporate them into your day? Because I'm sure to this day you're still doing certain things that you've consistently done. What are some of the ones that you've had?
I still have them, and we advanced have these blue cards. And I have how I see myself and my affirmations on them, and I read them spiritual, emotional.
Okay.
So that wealth wheel, I read them every single day.
Wow.
In the morning and the night.
Wow.
I exercise. I ride my bike for 20 miles, and I go hit the gym every day. So those disciplines from the physical side. And
so
I think
for you, those are the
over.
ones that have made a difference. And I also find that a lot of people, you got to play to your strengths, right? Some people can be more consistent in the morning, some in the evening. Some it's about working out. For me, I got to get into the gym and get going, and that gets my mind and everything going.
Yep.
Other people like to journal and meditate in the morning. Me, I got to get moving, right?
Sure.
I'm curious because there's the personal development side, and then there's the business development side, and you work with both with individuals. How do you help them to balance that out?
From the business and personal side?
Yeah, for personal development growth versus business growth, because they go hand in hand, right?
Sure. So growing a company to #1 in Inc. magazine and other businesses that I've owned, you learn how to run a business.
Yeah.
And there's a format and a process, whatever it is. I own cell phone stores, I own an amusement park, I own a food business, along with other stuff that obviously that I've done in the coaching space, and then growing that company that we did. So there's things you got to do as kind of an executive, as the CEO type business-minded person, the daily things. That doesn't change, that you have to have your organization doing, and that's why we went #1. We had the power of duplication with our sales force and our executives and our and our outward facing to our consumers.
A lot of leadership growth.
Everybody did the same thing, sort of thing. But on the personal side, if you're self-disciplined, right, your appetites are in control of taking care of yourself, taking care of your mind, taking care of your family, having your priorities right. And a lot of people don't do that. And it's temporary. And like you made a fantastic point. How do you make, I call them daily disciplines?
Yeah.
And I have one of my little segments I do in training is called Leadership Locker Room. And it's how do you make these daily disciplines as an athlete? How am I going to go out and practice and get better each rep? Where we tell, don't make these reps count.
Yeah.
Because in football, you have certain periods. You got 15 minutes in this period. You don't get them back.
Yeah.
And when the fourth quarter
Make
ends,
everyone count.
you don't get a fifth quarter in football. You don't get an extra minute in that. It's over. How do you make all those count? So from a personal side, I think it's important that you have your personal development in order, and then it's going to equate to your business development. And you're also setting an example for your organization, because you're going to go, wait a minute.
As a leader,
that's what he or she is doing, and it's going to rub off on them. And you're going to attract the right people. How we became so successful is we attracted the right kind of people. And I go back to James Allen. You attract that which you are. As a man thinketh, so is he, but you also attract as you are. And as you work on yourself, personal development and growth and learning, all of a sudden you attract people who are in that same mindset. And you want to be around those people because they're more collaborative, they're more supportive.
So interesting, because timeless principles, right? I talk a lot on our podcast about one of my favorite quotes, a Jim Rohn quote, obviously, because I was pursuing success to create the life I wanted. And then I finally got to that point in my life where it was like, success is not to be pursued, it's to be attracted by the person you become. Exactly. And so it does go hand in hand. Exactly. So I'm curious, a lot of people might be out there and they may be thinking, okay, I'm stuck.
Yeah.
Maybe at a high level, maybe at an average level, but they're not making the change. They're not doing the discipline. They're not doing what they want. And most times I found they know what it is.
Sure.
What would you say, like maybe some parting advice?
Sure.
What would you say to help kind of shake people into taking the first step, or where would you start? Because you got people you talk to all the time.
Yep.
What do they need to do to start leveling up? What do they need to do next? Where do they start to build the momentum?
No, it's a great question. And I'm going to give you one quick answer. Find a coach.
Find
great. Somebody who knows more than you, who can show you how to do it. If you want to be a brain surgeon, are you going to go to the plumber?
Right.
If you want to be a plumber, you're going to the brain surgeon. If you want to get better at whatever it is that you are, find somebody who can help you to do that, who's done that, who's been there, and work with them. And that's what coaches and trainers do. Yeah. And it sounds kind of
at all levels, right? Elite athletes still have coaches and trainers.
Yes.
And they do that for that reason. I think that's a great piece.
Billionaires still have them. I have a rising I have a Rising Achievers program. I have an elite program, elite mentor program. So I have different levels for different people of where they're like meeting them where they're at, of where they want to go. But no matter where you're at, if you think you're done growing, then I feel bad for you.
Yeah, right.
In the sense of wherever you're at. But find someone who can help you to do it. One thing I've realized, and I put a couple reels out this week talking about accountability.
Okay.
Just being able to come back, being able to report back. Hey, George, you're my coach. Okay, you know what? I made 10 calls this week. Yeah. See, one thing with the cards that I did when I read, chapter 4, one thing is I was accountable to myself. I mean, I had my mentor, but I was going, I will talk to 10 people this week. I'm going to take 20 phone calls. I'm going to do 13 meetings, whatever it is. So I had some self-accountability. But when you have someone else to report back to, hey, I got to talk to George on Friday. Am I going to meet his expectations?
Plus, you said something that's really key, and this is what a lot of people miss. They go try to get an accountability partner, but it's not someone that is a successful, where they want to be person. When you put those two things together, all of a sudden the accountability takes on a new meaning, and that accountability will be in the right area. You don't just need somebody telling you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. You need somebody telling you what to do on the right things in the right area because they're there, they've been there, they've done that, and they know where you're going from. They also could probably relate to where you are, right? So
I have this thing called BizFit Pro, where I give people called BizFit Pro. It's a key indicators of daily activities that you should be doing, and you can adjust them, but ones that I see that all successful people do. If you look at elite performers in sports and elite performers in business, there's commonality in their daily activities. So I put together a program that has those in there. So guess what? Again, find somebody who has what you want and do what they do. Begin to mimic and to begin to mock and to model and do the things that they do. And if you do it consistently and you'll do it, I call it consistency of effort. If you'll put the discipline into that, you'll see change. And you're like, why can't you figure that out on your own?
Well, and I think it's key. Right now, a lot of people are like, I just need to gut it out, discipline myself. A lot of times you just can't do it on your own. I'm not saying you can't, but I think that if you want to level up, finding a coach or mentor, I really like that. That's great advice. So before we take off, where's the best way for people to connect with you? Because I think we're going to be, just so everybody's listening and knows this, we're going to be doing some things. I've been talking to Ricky quite a bit about our Authority Media Marketing Company. So we've got a lot of training that's going to be coming out there. We've got some real big names we're going to be bringing on as guests. So we're going to be working together on that. But where can they find you right now if they want to connect with you? Just kind of be able to, I love the concept of belief transference. In other words, when you surround yourself around people that are successful, that have the energy, there's that energy transference, belief transference. It's like being around people that are super successful. You can't help but think it's easy, right?
Right.
Where do they connect with you?
So you can go to Calendly and find me, Edutainer or Ricky Frank. You can go to forfastnow.com. My phone number's on there. My Calendly's on there.
Well, and if you don't mind, I'll put those in the show notes as well. Is that cool?
Yeah, of course. And I tell people, you're not going to get an AI bot. You're not getting an AI assistant. You get to me. Some of these other cats that are out there right now, they're so big, you're not going to get a chance to go and work with them personally. So you get direct response to me.
You've got the experience, but you got the energy. And like I've learned it. I always we could be going all day long doing things and get together and all of a sudden, the energy comes. So I'll put links in there. And then if you don't mind, I'd love to even invite you back to kind of talk deep dive with our academy and some of our academy members that we're going to be doing this weekend. So anyway, listen, for those of you that are listening, do me a favor and share this show. It'd mean the world to me. It'd help other people. There's people out there that are stuck, that are looking for things. We want to be able to do the message and grow the message. But at the same time, hit me up on the Daily Mastermind. Let me know what you're struggling with. Let me know what you're winning at. Let's celebrate some wins. And like I always say, it's never too late to start living the life that you're meant to live. And hopefully what we've done today is give you just some energy, some positivity, some direction and strategies, maybe even some tactics that'll help you. So, Ricky, I appreciate you being on the show.
Thanks for that. Appreciate you.
Be here. Awesome. Okay, guys, we'll talk to you soon. Talk to you tomorrow.